All right, guys. Got my glasses on here. Look like a big dork. Let's see. What I really need to do is pull up my live feed here on my other computer so I can see what you guys are typing to me. Let's see here. Sorry it took a little bit. I was on a previous live feed, if you're just popping in, where I was doing some drone simulator practice, which is particularly boring, but I figure I'm just going to stream it while I can. Saves my videos. I can see my progress, and that's cool. And then I was going to do ZBrush. I set up here, and I got my tablet and all this stuff, but I could not find my stylus. So I went and grabbed my old tablet, which is around here somewhere, and plugged it in. Thought I would use the old stylus, my old tablet. Haven't used it in a while. No longer supported by the drivers. The new drivers don't support that one anymore. It's like, please consider, because I was using a really old Intuos 3, very, very old tablet. Works great still. I know a ton of people who still use that exact tablet. And yeah, so it wasn't the case. So what we're doing tonight is I'm going to be running a marathon in February. It's one I do every year. It's a really small group. My friend puts it on. And I am going to make some medals for it. He doesn't know this yet. But this is from one of the races I did. It's going to be, I'm going to use this as reference for scale. And this one's metal, obviously. I'd love to do them in metal, but I'm just going to 3D print them, probably paint them. This is going to be a scale reference. So I'm going to block in this, like a basic round, as basic it can be metal, like a running metal. And then do it in Fusion so I can get all the measurements the way I want, especially like the ribbon. I want to make sure that I make it the little hook in the back or on the top big enough for a ribbon. So I'm going to be measuring all that, do it in Fusion so it's correct, and then I'm going to bring the shape into ZBrush and sculpt up some kind of background. I might do the text. In Fusion too. I think it might be easier. I don't know. Let's find out. All right, here we go. And scene. So we can go in here and do all this. Boom. Fusion 360. All right, so we are going to be set up in millimeters, which is how I like it. I know everybody's like, you're not going to use imperial measurements? No. And I'm taking my calipers here. Let me get a rough measurement across like this area. I'm not going to go point to point so I can kind of see where we're at scale-wise, because I feel like this is pretty good. This is 95 millimeters is what we're going with. 95 millimeters. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go here, create cylinder. I'm just going to do this super easy. 95 millimeters. Boom. All right. Whoa, I did that way too big. It should be 95. That's better. And how thick is this? I like the thickness of this guy. So we're gonna look, and it is 4.5 millimeters. We're gonna go 5. Let's make it 5 millimeters thick. 5 millimeters. Oops, whoops. See that? Now, 5 millimeters thick. 25 millimeters across. All right, easy peasy. Now, top. Really should rotate so we're looking from the front, but now I'm going to measure the opening for the ribbon here, which is probably, I think it's about 40 millimeters across. So not quite 2 inches. We're going to do 40 millimeters for the opening and whatever else is around that. So just make a box, boop. And I'm just going to do half of one this way here when we go. What is that? How thick does it need to be on the outside? A couple millimeters at least. Probably going to go 4 mil on the outside, because what I want to do is make it hollow in the back, since this is going to be, if I'm just going to print them in resin, I might print the backs of the hooks hollow, so the back of the strap where it connects is hollow, I can drop a wire into the hollow part and then epoxy over it. So it has a little bit of strength where the wire connects, so I don't break them so easily if it's going to be printed. I would love to cast these in metal, and I've been planning on getting a like a crucible so I can do that for a while now, and I have not done it yet. New body. Now this will make more sense when I get it all finished up here. So what did I say this was? I did this 40, 20, I don't even know. Let's go create box. We'll do the same thing again. Start here, middle. This one we're going to go 20 across. And then, how long do we have here? How long did I make this last one? 20. And then 50. That's pretty good. And we will go chunk. We're only going to cut, we're not going to cut this first one, we're just going to cut the square guy. Oops, I did it wrong. I did it wrong, of course. One more time. Wrong side. Now, I don't know if anybody's in the chat here or not. The way I have this set up, I can never tell if anybody's actually on here until I see someone comment on the other computer. And I'm not technically signed into YouTube on this one, on the other machine. So it kind of is hard to tell a little bit. All right, we're on cut, and we want to cut just a square. There we go. That's, oh my God, I just did it again. So not smooth. This is ridiculous. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this differently. Because I'll just mess it up again, too tired or something. I'm gonna go like this, mirror this over, join, all right. Go in here, make a show. Show like this, and then we're gonna go, let's see, how much do we want to do? 5? I don't know how much I did it before. Yeah, let's do 5 millimeters. Okay, and it's gonna be too big, but we can scale this back when we're done. Press, oops. I'm going to go to move, not press. Now we can just slide this up a tad. And we're going to take this one. We're going to just punch this out of here. So we'll remove this, but keep the circular part. And we're going to do the same with this. We're going to make a shell. We're going to go, what makes the border on this thing? Not too big. 3 millimeters? Maybe 2. 2 is fine. Boop. So now we got like a little, kind of like a tray. And our artwork's going to sort of sit in there. And I'm going to make another piece that I'm actually going to sculpt on. Then I'll mash those together in ZBrush. And in ZBrush I can kind of clean it up here. Let me see something. Let me see how wide these ribbons are. Ribbons are 38, and I think I did it at 40 across. So we'll measure this guy. It is 40 on the nose. Okay, we can round these upper edges, I guess, a little bit. Like that. We'll do the same on the on this bottom here. I feel like that's plenty thick enough. Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is over thicken this a little bit. That's It's going to be too thick, but I can always thin it back out. This will make more sense in a second, I think. I'm going to connect this and this. Like that. You know what? I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna push this back a little bit. Boop, boop. That. And again, this is, I have no instructions on this, and this is actually kind of a surprise. Guy that puts this race on does not know I'm gonna do this, but the metals he usually gets are not as involved as this. That's not what I wanted. I wanted a fillet. So this is going to be probably more than he's expecting, but if I make these, I'll feel better that I'm contributing. It's really cool that he puts his race on, and it's him inviting me is actually introduced me to a lot of runner friends people I really admire that now are my friends, and it's because this guy Josh puts on this race every year, and he invited me one time, and it was really awesome of him to do. So now I feel like I can actually lend my, oops, you know what I gotta do? I gotta turn this to cancel this, go here, press and pull. What the heck did I do? Oh yeah, turn this on new offset, 1 millimeter out. There we go. Just a little bit bigger. There we go. Let me see something if I can tell. It'd be so funny if I just was talking and you guys didn't see anything I'm doing. Alright, so this is 2 pieces. Now the question is, will this come in as 2 pieces if I export it? I think it will. Let me hide this second guy. I'm going to do this and then bring that in. That'll be good. I'm going to scale that to work. And yeah, I think that's going to be good. Again, I don't know if I'm going to print these. I might change the whole shape of this thing after I get into this, but this is a good place to start. So let's port these pieces out to ZBrush. Let me bring this back just a little bit so that when I bring these together, so what I'm going to do is make a component from the pieces. Create components from bodies. Boom. Metal, not metal. Metal, metal. Okay. Now I'm going to take this other body here, which is the inside, put it in here. Now what this is going to allow me to do is I can go like this, and when I save the export the mesh, STL is fine. It'll export both those pieces at the same time as one mesh, whereas otherwise I'd have to export them separately, which is a big pain. So downloads, we don't want that. We want this to be on my desktop. Save, cool. Save that there. All right. Now we'll move over to ZBrush. We don't need this. We are going to import metal. Okay. Successfully read. And there we go. I should have done this. I'm going to center this. You know what I should do is, since there are 2 items, what I'm going to do is go to, not subtools, we're going to go down to polygroups, boom. And we're going to auto group. Now see there are 2 different pieces. So I can select this guy and center the cursor on this. Now it's going to basically center it on the unselected area. It doesn't look centered because it's kind of janky for some reason, but it should be centered on there. And then if we go to home, it'll center the whole thing, and I can make it face front like so. Now we should have it kind of centered up in our space. Now before I do anything, I'm going to save this as Metal Wisdom Tree Trail Marathon 2025. You know what I should have done? I should have made the text in freaking Fusion. I can always do that and bring it back in. I'll do that in a minute and we'll be good. So now the stylus I just searched all over the place for, it's right here. Almost couldn't find this. I just about gave up on doing a ZBrush. A little bit of ZBrushing tonight because of this. So we're gonna go over here and we'll go to, let's see, let's break these apart. We have our two pieces. We're gonna go to subtool. This list is way too long. Let's shorten this. And we're gonna go to split, group split. Okay, now we got two pieces. So now our inner and our outer here, if we go to solo mode, we can see our inner and outer pieces are separate, which is gonna be handy. And we're gonna take this inner piece, and we're gonna dynamesh it here so that we've got more to work with. Dynamesh. Turn off the blur. And we'll just test and see how many polygons this gives. If it's always hard to tell if it's going to be massive. Yeah, it's going to be huge because it's taking forever. If I didn't crash it, there it goes. Wow, 1.6 million. So that means that we'll have some detail to work with here, so we can sculpt whatever we want. Now, before I got on here, I brought in this texture. We're going to add this to Spotlight. Because this is the Wisdom Tree Trail Marathon, we're going to use this as our reference because I want there to be the tree. This is the Wisdom Tree. It's going to be part of it. Now, this behind this picture of the tree is San Fernando Valley. I used to live right out this way, right over here, if you guys can see my cursor. And I used to ride my bike up over here to Verdugo, and I used to run to this tree all the time. And if you guys know about my messed up knee, I was on my way to this tree when I messed my knee up, when I got hurt back in 2020 and had to have all the surgeries and stuff. So fun. So let's see. Now it's going to have some text here. So got to make room for the text. I put the tree like so. Now, the thing you can do is you can basically project this image. Let me see if it does it here. You can project the image onto the backdrop, and I don't usually use it this way. So let me see if it works here, if I'm doing this right. Yeah, you kind of see the hints of the branch there. So what I gotta do is actually I gotta go backwards. Let me reverse this here. We're gonna do Z sub, and if I did this correctly, it should leave a little bit of an impression of the tree in the background. We'll see here. It didn't do it right. Hang on a second. Z project. What am I doing here? Okay, so we go to brush. Let's see, auto masking, right? Is that right? Auto masking. Now, typically, this is a thing that I turn off when I'm working, and I might just turn it off. It'd probably be just as easier to work. There's another draw. Draw. Let's see. No, it's under brush. Pretty sure. Live samples. Spotlight projections. See that? Samples. Build up. Just swap to my standard brush and see if it makes a difference. Now it should, if I do this right, it should project some of the shape onto my geometry. There it is. Look at that. There it goes. Okay, cool. So we're going to go this way. When we turn on spotlight, it should give us this tree here in the background. I think it was just because I was using the clay brush. It just didn't work as well. Now, this is just going to be a reference guide for me, just to speed up this process a little bit. Probably pushing all the way through my geometry. Oh, there goes that. It kind of works. Let's see. Let's go backwards here, see if that works. Oops. Well, okay, here we go. I'm on the right path, guys. I am on the right path. You can just like, see my cursor going way up here? That's weird. Why is it doing that? That's so weird. Okay, let me see something. Oh, you know why? Because I actually went all the way back before the Dynamesh, which I did not mean to do. So we need to go back and Dynamesh it again because I messed that up. I went back too far. Turn on the blur, turn resolution up a little bit, Dynamesh. And, oh gosh, to take a second here. Also turn, there we go. There we go. See if my, yeah, okay. So just make sure the sensitivity of my brush is working correctly. It seems generally correct. So I'm gonna just go like this and give it a quick trace. Trace in the background, trace in the land. And then I'm just gonna kind of sculpt it in after the fact. Now this doesn't have to be super detailed. It's gonna be really small on a metal. So if I can make a good representation, there we go, look at that. Oh my God, it's perfect. Now, that gives me a good starting point. I should have inverted it. Let's try that again, one more time. Gonna invert it. So go to Z, add, and there's my phone, it is making all kinds of sounds. Come up here, give it a quick trace. Like so. See if that did. Oh, it's really fighting me. All right, we can go back. We'll go to Z add. Go back the other way. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Again, just reference so I can have something in the file to work with. See, did I get it? Yeah, that's good enough. That is good enough. Yeah, that's so weird. It's like some of the pieces are the correct orientation, some are not. That's so weird. You know what? One more try. This is what it's like. This is what it's like when you do this stuff. If you're not an artist here doing this kind of work and you have to do it sometimes, it just does not quite go as you want it to go. So I'm going to go into my oops. Go into my oh, what the hell did I just do? That's good. There we go. Wow, that was interesting. Let's see, spotlight. Let me see, I'm doing something wrong here. Let's go to, I gotta go up here, and I want to also go to the back, because I think what's happening is when I go to push this the other way, I'm hitting the back face. Oh yeah. Brush. We're gonna go down to auto masking, and then we're gonna go to back face mask. And what that does is it keeps the pin from drawing through to the geometry on the other side of this piece. So if I draw here, it won't, like if I pull upward like this, it should See how it doesn't affect the back? But if I had that back face off, when I did this on the back of the geometry, it would also affect that. So I'm going to try not to do that. Now, I'm going to see if it works this time. Let me see here if it does it in reverse like I think it's going to. It should. Now, another way to do this is to make this image black and white and just literally make it a mask and just place it, or make it into a brush mask. That'll work too. However, this way is a way that I don't use often, and I kind of want to try it. Oh my gosh, look at it fighting me. Now if I go solo, oh look at that. See, it pushed it all in. Okay, so we technically do have it here. That kind of worked. Okay. Okay. So what I can do is thicken this up a bunch, I guess. That's too much. I mean, technically speaking, that's not too bad. It gives us some depth. You gotta smooth it. So what I'm gonna do is on this side, you can go to polygroups, and we're gonna do group visible, which is gonna do this side. So it should, if I did it right, let me turn off the wireframe. It's weird. I guess it went all the way through. Am I crazy? Is it just dark? Let's go to a lighter color here. Oh my god. Let's see. Group visible. Oh no, sorry. Group front. There we go. There we go. That should give me two sides. So now, if I did this right, I can select just this side with this color and pull it back, flatten it back out. It's gonna be a little messy, but it'll be okay. Then we go like this, and now I've got it re-thickened up again. Come on. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to mask this side and I'll thin this back down a little bit. So now we have our representation of the tree. Pretty rudimentary, but we get an idea of where stuff's supposed to land. And we can make it metal. Everything else is terrible around it, but that's okay. That is okay. Put it down a little bit. Remember, it's going to be kind of like a relief thing in the middle of this metal, so it doesn't need to be very deep. Now, the way I'm switching to and from the color is Shift F, and that turns on your polygroups. And if you have line on here, that turns on the wireframe, which is very dense, so it looks black, but that's actually just a really, really fine wireframe. If I go to this piece, which I didn't Dynamesh, you can see the wireframe is there, and you could come down here and you can turn that wireframe on and off. And it's really handy if you're doing ZModeler. I am going to, I'm pretty happy with this little tree. I'm actually going to copy this layer, this subtool. I'm going to name this one tree art, and then I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to just hide one of these, just so that if I totally trash this, it's not the end of the world. And what I'm going to do is go in here, I'm going to use this as my reference, and I'm going to sculpt this little tree back into shape. If it'll work. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I'm on reverse. That would be helpful. That one's off. Turn this up a little so you can see all the pieces. Yeah, I'm the correct one. So typically we want to be on Z add, and there's our tree. It's kind of like right here, like this. And build up the trunk and make it more like an actual sculpt rather than this like janky projection thing that we got going on here. And one cool thing is I'm going to be sculpting this kind of like 2.5 dimensional thing, so it's going to be kind of sculpted on purpose. But what is cool in ZBrush is you can take like a regular item that you've made and then compress it into something that would be like a relief on a coin. And it is a pretty cool feature, especially if you're doing a coin. Let's say you have, like, I don't know, you've got an action figure or something that you're going to make into a coin. You can come in ZBrush and take the model, if you have it modeled already, and basically just squish it, and it does it a really good job. Somewhere I did it by accident one time, and I was like, oh, I knew that the feature was there. I'd never used it, and when I did it by accident, I'm like, oh my god! Like, it was I was working on my RA7, and it came out really good actually, as like a squished version. So I was like, maybe one of these days, if I do one of the coins that give away for events and so forth, maybe I'll do C3PO or RA7 like that. But you can see we're starting to get some tree shapes here, some branches and stuff. Now, what's cool, ZBrush, is I can go in and, first of all, let me get rid of that. I like the leaf texture. I think that's pretty neat. I want to imply the background that we have there, because it's windy outside. My screens are shaking. So it might actually just push this back behind the metal, like essentially just trim this off here. Let me save this again before I get too far. This is a thing. Just be in the habit of saving things, because it is takes 1 second for something to crash, then you lose all your work, and that is not cool or fun. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to break the tree off onto its own layer, and then I'm going to do the background and the foreground on different layers, and then like compile them together. I think that'll work best. So I'm going to duplicate again, turn this one off, and this is just going to be our tree. So what I'm going to do is, there's a good way to do this. I could use a knife tool, which will cut it down, but I think I'm just going to use the lasso. Oh, what the hell did I just bring up there? That's a first. I don't know what this is. I just pulled up. I brought up some weird brush. BSL. Skip this note until next time. BCT. All right, there we go. All right, so basically, I'm just going to go like this. Chomp off what I don't need. And I'm going to do this in sections, because what it's doing is it's just cutting through the back. And when I'm going to delete the parts that are here. Let's see, that'll be good on geometry, delete hidden, modify topology, delete hidden. Now those things I just hit are gone, and if I redynamesh, it'll close out that hole. So I'm just going to go around the tree and chunk it out. Now it's good to do this in sections. Like, I could knock it all out, but sometimes you'll take it too far and it'll kind of have trouble reconnecting the pieces. So delete hidden, same thing, chunk. Oops, same here. I can tell that's a branch. I'm going to come down here like this. Give myself a little bit of latitude with what I got to work with. Just go a little further here. Alright, delete hidden, and then close it up. And really kind of get in here a little bit finer. Oop, and that got a little pop-up. Delete hidden. Again, you could do more than what I'm doing in one step, but you take the risk of having it freak out on you, which you don't want. I might even do the branches on their own thing, on their own subtool, and then put the leaves in as a separate pass. Yeah, boop, there we go. Now, I am just ZBrushing here. I do not think there's anybody hanging out with me right now, which is okay. Feel like I could just keep doing these live things. They're pretty fun to do, honestly. I'm just going to do a rough cut like this. I'll take this chunk off. Same thing. Delete hidden. Weld it. There we go. Same thing up here. Delete this. Take a chunk. Chuckity chunk. Chunkity chunk. Like so. Shadunk. And delete hidden. And you kind of get the idea. So I'm just going to chase this around. Give it some rough edge for these little leaves. Now I can make a little alpha brush that has some leafy texture and go back over and just make a bumpy surface that kind of represents leaves. And again, this is going to be 3D printed, small, just like a little sculptural thing. So it's not going to be a big deal if it's not perfect and every little leaf is visible. You just got to represent this cool wisdom tree. Like that. Delete hidden and chunk it. And let's see here. Chink. There we go. Delete hidden. Per chunk. Now, I've kind of got the basic shapes here. I think everything outside of that is delete hidden. That's it. Now we got our tree, which should, if I did it right, still have this side back here. Oops. Should be able to select this if I'm not an idiot. There we go. Now I can take this and mask everything else, and then should be able to slide this back a bit, give us a little bit of extra thickness just in case we need it. Okay, now we got a tree kind of hanging out here, and we're going to do the same with the background. Now what is this thing going to look like? You should see gold. It's pretty cool. Again, I'm going to do text, maybe like a date down here. So let's see, where are we at here? Now we've got the background. I'm going to put this back to a color I can look at because this is awful. Alright, so this background here is, say this is the tree, this is make this the background, rename, and turn the tree back on, background inner, almost there. Okay, so tree is on. In the background, you can kind of see the silhouette of the mountains out here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to delete everything that's not mountains. I'm going to go in there and refine it a little bit, but just heard a crazy noise at my door. Like this. Like that. I think that's representative enough, right? And back to modified geometry. Geometry, come on, boop. Modify topology, delete hidden, and boom. So now I've got background, this guy. Let's go in here and refine this a little bit better. There we go. Boop. All right. Now, delete hidden. I could hit close holes, which will do the same thing, and then, just kind of closes out the side. Another tool you could use here, there's a knife tool. It cuts really nice, but every once in a while it's a little bit crashy from time to time. So I don't always use it. Now I've got all of this. It's pretty cool looking. Let me see if got this funky thing on the side here. I could just go like this. Sure. Do the same over here. Oops. I'll do that same. Delete hidden. Close it out. And now I can just sculpt all that stuff back in. That's fine. Kind of like the foreground at the bottom coming toward the viewer a little bit. I like that. I think that's good. Delete hidden. Close it. Okay, it worked. Sometimes if you get too far around a curve and you close it, if you've got too many holes cut out, it'll do this weird thing to try to bridge the gap. That is not optimal. Okay, let's go back to our tree. I'm going to basically push these back through to the other side behind the background. So those are going to be knocked out like so. And you can kind of see where we've been. This isn't the cleanest thing, but it's gonna do the trick. It's gonna look cool when it's done. So that's all that really matters. Go back, knock this out. Same here. There we go. And it's starting to look like an official thing. Starting to feel like a thing. Now what I can do here, oh stop, why is it doing that? Let me get out of this thing, get out of that. Alright. I don't know if that screen shows up for everybody or if it's just for me. There's like I'm hitting a button, like some kind of shortcut key, and it is pulling up this menu. There it is, yeah, you guys can see it, never mind. There's enough delay in the feed that when I watch it on the other monitor, I can kind of see it pop up, but you guys are 10-15 seconds behind me. Alright, so BDS, this is a Damien standard brush, which is good for doing like wrinkles and like little detail-y bits. It's got like a pointy kind of tip on it. And so for this guy, it's going to be good for separating out some of these little details here and cleaning up the branches, separating them from the background a little bit. And what we're going to do is I'm going to come in, oops, and lift up some of this as well on the top. So raise it up a tad. Kind of define the shapes a little bit and smooth them out, because right now it's kind of some undefined areas. I'm probably going to pull this up slightly too high and then knock it back down. I think that's going to be the best way to do it. A little bit easier. Squish it if I need to, but that'll help define where everything is. Make it stand up really nice. Now the thing is too, once I make these, again, I don't know if I'm just going to 3D print a whole bunch of them, probably on the resin printer, or I may print 2 or 3 of them to clean them up and do a little gang mold and just mold or do castings of, you know, a handful at a time. There's not usually a lot of people at this thing, maybe 20, 30 people tops. So I don't need to make a ton of these. And for weight, I could even like fill them with pennies or something. If I was to cast them like that, I could always fill them with pennies and give it some nice heft to it, even though it's just a resin casting. So yeah, I feel like if I can redefine some of the larger main branches, we'll be in good shape. Now, knock this through. It's windy outside. I just keep hearing my screens rattle here. There we go. Now I got to do the same thing. I'm gonna take the background and resculpt some like the rocks and things that are here, make them stand out pretty good. And I'm gonna try to refine these shapes a little bit on the branches, just to kind of emphasize where some of these batches of leaves will be kind of poking out to make it seem less like a cotton ball and more like branches that have some depth, you know. So we got these. It's kind of starting to feel like it. Pretty cool. Now, what do we have here? We've got this piece. We're going to solo this one, and I'm going to look at the ground here. Now, what I can do is put on the planer tool, which goes like, if I do it right, basically it'll just knock down these tree pieces. So I can kind of flatten down a little bit so they don't interfere with what I've got going on in the foreground. And I don't have to compete with the existing tree quite as much. And here, I'll go this way, I'll go real gentle. And now try to replicate some of that texture pattern that's going on behind here. And it's got like a nice kind of perspective from the texture where you can see, you know, the textures in the distance getting smaller and smaller, a little bit tighter. I like that. Let's see. So I'm going to bring this back up to level with the clay brush, like so. Just kind of like flatten this out. Like a train, I can really hear it. I'll never hear the train from here, that's weird. Alright, just smooth this up a bit. Build up these low spots. Here we go. Now, we'll redynamesh it, and you can see I did not have that back face brush turned on that I was talking about previously. So, now I got a problem here. It's okay. So if I go back here, you have to do this auto mask, and see back face mask was not turned on. So now I gotta figure this shit out. So what we'll do is I will go like this, like so, and then I'm going to grab this guy and squish it together like this. Right? You squish it so much that it looks flat. Now you open it up, got a little bit of a problem here, but it's okay because I'm going to retexture it anyway. But it has essentially closed that hole up. So when I redynamesh it, I'm going to do the flatten out the back. You don't need to do this. This is me just being ridiculous. Now when we redynamesh it, that hole is gone. And now the back's not all janky. So got this material here. So we're going to go to clay buildup, BC, and then clay buildup, which is this one. And I'm going to add an alpha brush to this with some some kind of things. I kind of like these. They're sort of random. And you can see they leave little scratchy marks. These are good for doing wrinkles and stuff. But I think what's good is I can take these like far background kind of implied shapes here and sort of mimic the roughness and size. And I'll come back in and refine this a little bit better as I get closer, but I'm just trying to get a little bit of filler for the time being. It kind of matches. Let me go a little bit bigger here. That's going to be a little bit funky. There's a log on the ground here that I kind of like. I want to bring that log back. I think it's its own element. Back. There's these mountains out here in the distance, really far away. They barely have any really light kind of texture. So I'm going to just build this up a little tiny bit. Back there. And the mountains out there, it's called the Verdugo Mountains. And again, they're like one of my favorite spots. When I used to live in the area, I could ride my bike over there relatively quickly. So on my channel, there are videos of me on top of that mountain with my bike, riding around, looking around. And I kind of like it. Give it some shape here. I think this brush also kind of gives the impression of some direction and so forth of the land if I kind of just contour it a little bit. So let's turn everything back on. Yeah, this is starting to feel a little more arty there. I figure out this front foreground element here, just like some rocks and this branch. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. I'm going to mask off this little tree limb. Like so. Make that work. Look at that missing branch right there. How did I do that? Oh wow. I gotta build this. Hold on a second. Bring that back up. I guess I just pushed it back too far behind the that little land. Sculpt out that branch a little better. Refine it. Cool. I could turn up the resolution on this guy quite a bit. But yeah, let me go back to this layer. I mask that off. And I want to go to this is my brain. I haven't done this in a while. So we go to, whoops, not that. Boy, my brain is just as blank as can be right now. I think I've only used 900 times. This is what happens when you don't sleep all the time. You forget stuff. Real basic things. Somebody's out there yelling at their computer. This isn't the option. Geometry. Modify topology. What am I looking for here? Oops. 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 Let's see. But I feel like I'm losing my brain. Extract. There we go. Jeez. All right. Haha, too high. Okay. A little higher. You know what? These little things in ZBrush are really, really sensitive to scale. See, it's too little. This be, yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's good enough to work with. Just gonna go to accept. Now we got a new little piece there. It's its own thing. Now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to center my gizmo. Oops, what do I just do? Center the gizmo. Just compress it a little bit. I can control it however I want. Alright. Now we're going to kind of sculpt this log down. It looks ridiculous right now. Is it still Dynamesh? No, I got to Dynamesh it again. So, God, I can't believe that extract thing. It's really tweaking my brain. Alright. Geometry. Dynamesh. No blur. Ink. Okay, cool. Now, we have our little log. Which I'm going to sculpt to a little log. Boop. Now also, if I'm going to mold this, I want to make sure that there are no undercuts or anything that make it, you know, tricky to mold or something that'll catch bubbles. I want it to be pretty easy to cast up. So, sculpt ourselves a little bit of a log here. And I could probably reutilize the same piece of geometry and just squish it around and make my rocks out of it. There are some little rocks in the foreground. Alright, so there we go. Cherdunk. Cool. Cool. Let's look at our reference. Our log is kind of squared off, so let's square off that end. I don't know if that log is still there actually. I was up there just recently. I don't remember it, but doesn't mean it's not there. Usually I go up there real quick, run around the bush at the end for Strava, and then head on back down the hill. I'm going to do polish. Just let me kind of flatten it. Oh, here goes my alarm. Must be midnight. Actually means that I got a 3D print. It's probably done right now. Let's look here. Oops, that's not what I need to do. Okay. Stretch this out just a little bit. Okay. There's that thing again at the end. Okay. Look at this log here. And it has like a little piece of a root down this in. There's the alarm talking to me. No. No. Little log. Now we got some little rocks down at the bottom. Oops, not what I meant to do. I'm gonna, for the sake of this thing, I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. A little bit flatter. A little more flat. Okay, there's that. add some detail to it so it doesn't look so janky. And then we've got some rocks down here, which I'm going to just duplicate this guy because I can just scale it down. Make some little weird shapes. So I'll just sort of throw them in and then I'll come back and reshape them. Duplicate again. Let's do this. And reset the gizmo. Technically speaking, I could just keep them in the same layer, do a bunch, and it'll be fine. That one's fine. And then to basically, within the layer, to copy it, I can hold Control and just drag it, and it'll make another one, but it'll be part of the same subtool. So if you're doing that, just keep that in mind. And you can always break these up again later if you want. It's just the, basically you hit auto polygroups, do polygroups, auto, and it'll allow you to basically break up the copy. So now what I can do is some of them are masked and some of them are not. So unmask them. Now I've got a few. I can Control grab all of them and I'll scale them all a little bit, rotate them. Now they look like different rocks. And I'll do that again. I'll make them smaller, flip them over completely, move them around like so. And one more time. Blow them up a little bit, move them around, rotate them, rotate them, rotate them, rotate them, rotate them back. Again, all of these little guys can be adjusted as needed. So, let's copy again. Oops, go this way. Copy. Make some more. Rotate them around. This way. Oops, not flatten. Just rotate again. And we can move them. There we go. Now we're getting some texture on the ground, and I'll basically like get them kind of scaled right, and then I'm just going to merge them all into one piece so that they are just sort of there. Oops, move it again. Scale, rotate. Change our dimensions. Go. Yeah, it starts to feel like we got some real stuff going on. We'll just do that again. Copy them. Some more down here. Scale them just a little bit. Push them back a tad. Copy them. Flip them. Flip them again. What I'm going to do with these guys, I'm going to make actually, because these are, I'm going to make even smaller ones. Push them back up toward the tree here. Condense them a little bit this way. And where'd my gizmo go? There it is. Okay. Same thing. Do another copy, blow them up. I'm getting a lot of polygons here, so. Now you can see it feels like a little bit of perspective here with not much effort. Getting some bigger ones in the foregrounds. Like this. Yeah, we got a lot of them here. Ooh boy, geometry's getting pretty chunky. That's okay. Now it kind of gives us like a bit of a 3D look. Maybe overkill. It's okay. I'm going to push it back. I'm going to flatten it out some. Feels chunky, but it's really not that bad. I'm going to rotate just a tiny bit like that. Look at that. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to basically, I'm just going to delete all the ones that are not seen here. Like this, you don't need those. And any that are dangling over the side. Like so. Whoops, what was that noise? All right. Cat just ran by. So that's pretty cool. So now what we'll do, this is like 6 million polys or something crazy, is we're gonna go to Dynamesh and under geometry, Dynamesh, we're gonna crank this up so we keep the detail, but it should still be lower polygons in this because it's gonna combine a lot of them into a single thing. Oops, I got inverted because something's masked. Should Dynamesh here. Why is not wanting to Dynamesh? Oh, you know why? Because I have stuff hidden. So I have to go to modify topology, delete hidden, and now the Dynamesh should work. There it goes. Chunk. There we go. Now it's like 1/20th of the size. We've got all our little rocks. Now I've got a few stragglers that are sort of floating out front. We can make it shallower here like this. And that kind of looks cool. It's a nice little texture. And again, let's get this sorted out. Kind of go here like so. That feels pretty fun. Now I gotta fix this goofy thing. I'm gonna go down, just knock these back so we see our little rocks that we just made. Like so. Go. Now, how far over did I go with these rocks? I might need to actually add some more to the sides over here. There we go. Let's see the metal. See what it feels like. Got this little chunk here. It's a little weird. There we go. All right. Got ourselves a little of that. No. Knock out this stuff. Okay. All right, there's a basic thing. I'm gonna really resculpt the tree. Let me get some. Let me save this. What did I call this thing? Metal. That's 2026. No, 2025. All right. 2025. Cool. Now, let's see. What do I need to do? Oh yeah. Go back to Fusion. Now. He's fighting. All right. So now, I need to go to Sketch. Create Sketch. I want to go solid. Create Sketch. I'm going to hit it right on here. We're going to add a circle. So maybe this big. And then text along a path, which I gotta create text. You see something, create text. Path is here. Okay. So how do I do this? Height. Sample text. Let's just say that's too big. So that's too small. I could do the abbreviation WTTM, but the thing is, if I do that, then oh damn! Of course, I just messed it up. I did. I just changed it right in the middle. Screwed the whole thing up. Okay, so now character spacing. Fit the path. We don't want to do that. Look at that. Reverse it. Height. There's some easy way to adjust this, but I always like, oh God, they just did it again, didn't I? Oh, there we go. It's okay. I can just rotate it around this thing and scale it. My luck, I'll spell everything all weird. It's a good font to use. Should go through here and look at them all tomorrow and see. Want it to be bold enough that it's legible and easy to recreate. Because sometimes what happens if a font is too small on a metal. I did some metals like years ago. I had to chrome some metals for Vulpin props, and man, I did such a horrible job on that. And it was only because the text was so fine that to spray the paint really glossy covered up the text. So I was trying to keep the paint as thin as possible, but keeping the paint thin as possible was making a strange texture. So when I chromed them, it just looked not good, like my typical thing. It was very annoying. Let's see. Helvetica condensed. That's just doesn't feel right. Let's see. Let's turn that bold off. A lot of crappy fonts. Years ago, I did graphic design. I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fonts in my computer, and I have not done that in ages. But it's weird to look at. I don't do much now where I need to use fonts, and so when I go in here to look at them, it's just like feels very weird. Like where are all my fonts? Let's see, character space. It's on auto. I'm gonna space these out a little bit. Height 10. That's too big. Gotta find an in between here. 5 is too small. I gotta go maybe to like the halfway mark. 7, too big. 6, too small. 0.5. That's pretty good. Okay, it's a little past half. Let's do 6.3. That might be about it. Okay. I feel like this is good enough. I can get started here. Okay, cool. Now, if I rotate this, look at that. And can I scale it? Oops. I want to do that. So now I got to figure this out, because I feel like when I make the fonts, it's going to do Wisdom Tree Trail Marathon. I got to do 2025 under there. Let's see. Yeah, 2025, I think I'm just going to do straight across. So it'll be like text. Text. This is just going to be like this. I just have to move it around, sample text. 2025. Bold. No, not bold. Nope, not italic or bold. That's good enough. And font size 10. That looks good. Okay, cool. I'm going to move that kind of down here. I feel like that looks like a little metal, right? This could be bigger though. Can I change this thing? I don't know. I'll do that in ZBrush. I will do that in ZBrush. Okay, finish sketch. Chonk donk. Alright, so we're going to go this and this. And extrude this up by... What? Cannot complete. Huh. Weird. Alright, let's see. Extrude. What is going on here? Where are my sketches? Is this crazy? Oh, they're right up here. Okay. Can't complete extrusion. That's weird. Never had to do that before. Maybe I got to convert it or something. I've made text a bunch of times. Well, let me do it with this one. Oops. Sometimes it'll be like yeah, it's something to do with this font. Let's see. Maybe I can shut these off. Edit text, explore text. It might be because it's not like cooked down. There's a way to like commit to the text, I think. Wisdom Tree Trail Marathon. How about like a whatever. Height, character, placement, fit the path. No. Okay. Okay. Could not retrieve the profile of this select. Wow, that's weird. Okay, I don't know what the heck that's all about. Let me try this one again. Could not retrieve the profile of the selected text. Anyway, now that I needed to do a thing, it's not doing it. Just here, I'll figure it out. I think what I'm going to do is put this aside for the night. It's 12:30 almost. And I'll come back to this metal tomorrow. See if I can't sort this out. Maybe it's just glitching out. I did just update the software. I need to restart it to see if that does a thing. And we'll go from there. Where's my tree trail marathon? Huh. Why is it fighting me? I've done it many times. I don't know why it's not working. Usually I just see if I press pull it. No. Could not complete extrusion. So weird. Maybe turn off the other bodies. You see sometimes finish sketch full. Let's see. Press pull. Nope, so weird. One side, profile plane. What is this? No. New body cut. Fine. Yeah, it's weird. Usually it just does it in 2 seconds. Who knows? Maybe it has something to do with the font that I used. Unsaved. Changes may be lost. See if it lets me save this. It might be at my limit of usable files currently. Getting close. All right. Let's go back to ZBrush and look at our thing here. Now what's kind of cool is that because these are all at different elements, if I need to scale all of this stuff, I can scale it all down and fit my text or whatever, and then the text won't collide with the tree, because I want the tree to be in the middle, but I don't know if maybe the tree could overlap the text. That might actually look kind of cool. But I gotta experiment a little bit. Let's go back in the tree and do a little bit of tree magic here. Now we got it. Go back to the Damien standard brush, which is called the Damn standard now. This used to be when I started getting into ZBrush. This was a brush that was on the forums, and people they posted the alpha channel for the brush, and then you had to go in there and do all these settings to set the brush up, and then that became a standard brush. Everybody used it because it's really good. And then ZBrush, Pixelogic, when it was still cool ZBrush, they finally added it as like one of the brushes in the brush set, because like every ZBrush artist would use the Damien standard brush, and they finally put it in there. They called it the Damn standard. That's kind of what it was called on the forums, the Damn standard. And then Pixelogic got bought out, and I've been sad ever since. I miss Pixelogic a lot. I haven't renewed my ZBrush since it was bought. I think they did a couple updates after Maxon. That's a company that purchased ZBrush from Pixelogic. When they first did, they were honoring ZBrush's updates, because if you bought ZBrush, it was perpetual license for years and years. You would just have a perpetual license. Like if you bought it once, you had a license forever, and it was amazing because it's an expensive program. And Pixelogic always honored it, and I love that. And then Maxon came along and they honored it. They're like, we're going to honor Pixelogic's stuff. And then they did for like maybe 2 updates, and then they just decided, nah, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to move everything to subscription like Adobe. And I hate subscription stuff so much. Man, I couldn't tell you how much I hate subscription programs. I think it's the crappiest model ever. And what sucks is if they change something, you're in a subscription. This is what Adobe did, is they decided that they're going to update their subscription, and they changed some of the terms of service. And the thing is, if it updated on your machine and then you were like, well, I don't want to follow these terms of service, guess what? You now can't use Photoshop. But the thing is, the terms of service were like asking for access to stuff on your computer and your work, and using your work to train their AI and all this crazy stuff. And people didn't want to agree with it. On top of that, lots and lots of people work for clients that have them sign NDAs, which means that you're not allowed to share what you're working on with the outside world. So if you're posting these things and then Adobe's like, hey, we want access to your computer to look at your stuff so we can do our AI training, and you tell them no, then like, well, sorry, you can't use our stuff. But if you're in the middle of a project and then that auto update happens, and now you're stuck in this bind of like signing an agreement to use the software or breaking an NDA, it's a sticky spot, and it's really, really wrong that they do that. But anyway, Maxon decided they were going to go into this subscription-based thing, and I know so many ZBrush artists who are still using this version that I'm on now. Which one is this? 2022.07. So for a couple years now, I've been using the same version. The thing is, if this version ever stops working or something happens, I'm just going to move over to Blender. I love ZBrush. It's very, very good. It's a very, very powerful program. It does lots of things. But Blender has gotten quite good now. And it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve to get myself rolling again and, get up to the same speed. But I genuinely feel that it is extremely close to catching up with what ZBrush can do. And I don't see any reason to not use it. It's free. And you can render in there. That's another thing is ZBrush. Maxon is trying to sell their whatever their rendering software is. It's like not Octane. Can't remember. Whatever renderer that they use, that you're trying to make it where you pay subscription. Then you can render your ZBrush stuff with the render engine. I'm like, I don't use that. I would never use that. And the thing is, Blender's got its own built-in rendering that's really good. And why would I use some other program? I literally could take my ZBrush file right now and put it in Blender and render there. So if I need to render stuff, I will just do it in Blender. I don't need to pay a subscription fee to get all these other things that I would never use. It's stupid. It's stupid, and I hate it. Let's see here. So now I'm just kind of like just sort of refining the edges a little bit, breaking up these leaves a little so they look a little not so janky. And then I'll probably go look at some photos in a little bit, and maybe tomorrow I'll come back and then kind of refine the shapes on the leaves, kind of break them up so you feel, the areas that are kind of facing toward you versus facing away feel a little bit different. And get these branches like kind of leveled out. They're a little thick right now. See how that when you work in this perspective, they kind of jut out at you a bunch. But I'm trying to level them out or even them up. Because what happens is they have so many weird little divots and lumps that to get them the lumps out, you have to kind of blow up the leaves. What I'm trying to say here, you have to overdo them a tiny bit. You can see at this angle, like they should be smooth little branches, but they're not. Anyway, that like sheet of getting the tree shape in there is pretty good. Let's see here. What I can do is I'll turn on these things and should make them all look about the same. So there's the background. Then we'll go to render. Just kind of, and there's ambient occlusion I could add, which would break up the shapes a little more. But picture this with its text. I might need to scale the background out just a little bit. It'd be kind of cool to reshape the metal so that it's, got an interesting kind of shape. But I think this is good for first time having kind of like real metals at this thing. I think this would be pretty cool. So anyway, and one thing that's cool too is about separating it like this is that if I change the shape of the overall metal, then I can re-import this piece and work with that. There should be something nice. You see what it looks like as something shiny. Ooh, that's terrible. Gold. We'll hit the render on it. That'll be kind of cool. It does definitely give you some feeling of depth there, which is pretty neat. All right, let's call it for tonight. It's getting late. Metal 2025, not 2026. I just hit the 2026 one again. This is what I have my reader glasses. I should be wearing these right now. I can see reasonably good enough that I don't think about it all the time, but then for like stuff that's like this far away, or from my arm to the thing, like if I'm sitting back here, it's totally fine. But if I lean in just a little bit, I kind of need my glasses now because I'm an old man. I never needed glasses like this until maybe like 2 years ago. Everything in far distance I can see perfectly. It's like really, really great. But it's just stuff that's up close, which is weird. I'm not used to carrying around glasses at all. And I can still see it. It's just I gotta like squint my eyes a little bit. And it's just easier not to do that. So anyway, look at that. ZBrush party. We've got a metal going on here. What does it look like in the wax? Pretty cool. Got a metal. Got the base. I'll figure out this text tomorrow, and then I'll get that ported over, and then hop back in. We'll do this, and then I'm doing another thing I got to do for ZBrush. I got to do some C3PO shorts, which are going to be they're from a scan from a real C3PO shorts. So it's not like my janky model. And my sculpture that I did is very good, and I have a print of the scanned shorts, and they're very accurate. But I think I can make the scanned shorts shaped a little bit better so that they're a bit easier fit if people plan on wearing them. So those are going to go on Patreon, and I'll be ZBrushing those on here probably in the next couple of days, and I'll live stream it just like I did today if I could speak. But let's switch back over to this, and that's it for now. And also, I'm in this blank room in my house. I'm going to turn all these spools here, with all the printer spools, a ton of them. I'm going to turn them into helmet stands. I'm going to make a little printable insert that you can put a piece of PVC pipe, and then I can use this for helmet stands. That could be semi-permanent or for painting or whatever. So I'll put those models on Thingiverse for free, but I'll probably do that here too. But anyway, thanks for watching, and